The far-right Alternative for Germany, or AfD party, scored an emphatic victory in the Thuringia state election in the east of the country and came second in neighbouring Saxony.
The majority of people in Thuringia do not want business as usual. They want political change, and political change will not be possible against the strongest force in Thuringia. And I am curious to see how the old parties will then try to somehow form a losing coalition. That will be exciting.
It's the first state victory for Germany's far right since World War II. The newly formed far-left BSW party came third. Although widely predicted, the results have shocked many of Germany's allies, not least Ukraine. Germany is Ukraine's second biggest donor of military aid, second only to the United States. That is now in doubt. Germany is Ukraine's second biggest donor of military aid, second only to the United States. That is now in doubt.
Both the far right and the far left populist forces were campaigning on cutting German aid for Ukraine, and they were explicitly calling for a reduction in military aid. They called on the government to finally pressure Ukrainians to start negotiating with Russia.
In the short term, analysts say the state election results won't affect the federal government's funding of aid to Ukraine.
But you already see a slight change in the rhetoric of the centrist parties. We have 4 centrist parties, and some of them already took some of the narratives or the frames that the populist and far-right parties were using.
German Minister of Finance Christian Lindner of the Liberal FDP, part of the ruling coalition, is pushing for aid to Ukraine to be halved in the next budget. His party gained less than 5% in the Thuringia state election and fears a repeat in federal elections next year.
So it's really a fight, a battle for political survival, especially for the liberals who are pushing for this agenda of cutting the budget for Ukraine.
Immigration was a major issue driving votes for the far right, with much rhetoric directed at non-European and especially Muslim migrants. But Germany is also hosting more than 1 million Ukrainian refugees.
The question whether they and how they should be funded and whether they should be drafted or sent to Ukraine, that is a delicate issue. And we have Ukrainian males that are legally eligible for the draft. So there is growing pressure also on the male Ukrainian refugee population in Germany to push them back to Ukraine.
The Social Democrat Party of Chancellor Olaf Scholz noted that German intelligence services had classified the AfD as an extremist party and said its victory in Thuringia must act as, quote, a wake-up call. Henry Ridgewell, VOA News.